Hi, Monica Miller here, Legal Director and Senior Counsel for the American Humanist Association. This is Legal Tuesdays, where I answer your questions about separation of church and state. The first question I will take today is from Robert Brock, who asks on Facebook in relation to a question from the previous video, or follow-up rather. What about government employees who, in their signature lines, have Bible quotes in their official emails? I like this question because it's something we see pretty often. Usually from places like Texas and the South, but every once in a while, we'll see some from teachers or school district officials in school districts across the country, and maybe local government officials too. There's several things that I look at to determine whether, one, that this is an unconstitutional sort of situation, but secondly, whether that warrants our involvement, and third, whether it warrants something like a lawsuit, and whether, even if it warrants a lawsuit, whether a lawsuit is even viable. So in a situation where government officials are using their signature blocks to promote or to put in Bible quotes, there's several variables. One is sort of determining whether this is pure government speech or in fact private speech, or how it would be perceived. If it's a government email address, so it's, if it's the official school district's address, and it's sent on school district email, and it's during school district time, and I'm saying school district just because that's something that we've seen teachers do and school officials do, but it could be a local mayor, or it could be a governor, or it could be the president, so any branch of government. We've seen this, and so the question is whether it turns whether it's public speech, government speech, or whether it's private speech. And so, one indicator is, of course, you're saying it's their official email. I'll take your word for it. The next thing is, what does the quote contain? So if it is something that is not to say not overtly religious, but if it's something very proselytizing, something very unique to Christianity, unique to the Christian Bible, in the sense that it is theistic. Jesus walks on water, or Jesus is the answer to our prayers. Something Jesus-y, something that says, believe in God and good things will follow. I mean, even though I went to Catholic school, frankly, I don't remember very many passages from the Bible, at least enough to quote. But we've seen the Bible quotes that are something kind of generic and benign, but then it might say like John, whatever, 12:13, like I don't know the Bible passages, but it, something like be nice to others, and then it's from the Bible. That's something that they could put a quote from Harry Potter in there. I mean, it's sort of a personalized part of a communication, so we're already kind of looking at something that is going to be a gray area when it comes to looking at government speech versus private speech. If you have a government official who is consistently putting different Bible quotes in their signature blocks, using official email, and it's something overtly proselytizing, like I said, like your life will be better if you follow Jesus. I don't know why I can't think of Bible quotes right now, but something that's promoting Jesus, promoting God belief, that would be a problem. But the third component to this is whether, actually there's two more components. One is what level is the government official, and what is your relation to that government official, because that's where we run into a standing situation. So even if we've got a government official who's blatantly using his or her email to promote Jesus, to promote God belief, to promote Christianity, in contrast to putting a little, I don't want to say benign, but a quote that is not that religious, or not religious at all, and it just happens to be from the Bible. But say we got the situation with an overtly proselytizing quote in an official email. There's a doctrine of standing, which means that in order to bring a case in federal court, you need to be personally aggrieved on some level, and the courts have been interpreting this quite narrowly in the church-state separation context. So if it is the President of the United States and you receive an email from him promoting, in a signature block with a religious quote, it's going to be very challenging, if not impossible, for a number of reasons to bring a lawsuit against the president for the signature block, and most likely standing and maybe some other things would bar that lawsuit. So whereas by contrast, at the lower government level, so if it's a local school, if it's a school official, your connection to that government official is much stronger, and the courts are more likely to see an injury and see not only a violation, but that you're the right person to bring that, and that you are directly harmed because you feel like an outsider in your own community, whether it's your school district or your town, or etc. So in this instance, I'd have to take a look at all of those sort of components to see whether we would get involved, whether there's a violation, and then what we would do, whether it's a lawsuit or a letter. So there's a sort of a long explanation for a short question, but I think it's certainly an important question. So I will wrap it up today, but I will talk to you next week or following 2 weeks on Legal Tuesdays.